Shalom everyone. In today's video, we will be discussing the secret of the spreading of 3,700,000 lights, the interactions between Arich Anpin and Zer Anpin. The prerequisites for this video are quite lofty. It requires you to have a fairly strong grasp of the understanding of various Partsufim. My recommendation is to have first seen my series on the Mashiach before watching this video. Let's begin. Today's section will be revealed in Eitz Chaim by Chaim Vital. This text is a central Lurianic text which describes the workings of all of the Partsufim and the upper worlds as they relate to each other. For the sake of our audience, I'll be using an English translation instead of the Hebrew. Our section can be found in Volume 3 of the Tree of Life, and this section is called The Palace of Crowns and the Palace of Abba and Ima. Though this version of Eitz Chaim is incomplete, it still will aid any reader in obtaining a deeper understanding of the Kabbalah. So we begin on chapter 14, and it says, I heard many aspects from my teacher of blessed memory regarding the subject of the 370 lights mentioned in Idra 128. From this, the length of the face spread to 3,700,000 worlds. The quote he is citing is found in book 17 of the Zohar. It says here in chapter 4 of Naso in the Idra, from this, the length of the face of Arich Anpin spreads unto 3,700,000 worlds. This is referred to as long-suffering, literally a long face. Erech means long, and Apim means face. Therefore, this most ancient Atikah is called Arich Anpin, which is Aramaic for long face. That one outside, the one that coats from the navel downward of Arich Anpin, where it is considered as the exterior of the body, is called Zer Anpin, corresponding to the old Atikah, the holy of the holies, which is Arich Anpin. When Zer Anpin gazes at Arich Anpin, all below get restored, and its face spreads and lengthens during that period. This is only in periods of favor, but not all the time like Atikah. To provide context, the passage describes that Zer Anpin covers Arich Anpin from the navel below and on the outside. Here demonstrated is a diagram of Arich Anpin, and this particular Elon is attributed to the Ramchal. And what we're going to find is that Zer Anpin's height is from the Tiferet of Arich Anpin below, which is what was stated prior. We also see the Partsufim of Abba, Ima, Leah, and Rachel. Down below we see Israel Saba and Israel Tavuna, respectively. All of these will be necessary. Today's video is in particular discussing the Partsufim of Zer Anpin in all its specifics. The heights, of course, change, dependent on whether we're dealing with Atik Yomin, Arich Anpin, Abba, Ima, Zer Anpin, or Nukva. Presented here is a diagram of Zer Anpin in specific and his relationship with Arich Anpin, Abba, Ima, etc. This will be the diagram we will be using to understand the secrets of this spreading. Let us return to Eitz Chaim now. Chapter 14. I have heard many aspects from my teacher of blessed memory regarding the subject of the 370 lights mentioned in Idra. From this, the length of the face spread to 3,700,000 worlds. According to what is mentioned above, there are another 370 lights. Now, there are 370 lights on the side of Chokmah and 370 lights on the side of Bina. The center here are the 10 Sfirot of Zer Anpin. And in relation to his Chokmah and his Bina are connected the Partsufim called Partsuf Abba and Partsuf Ima. The first spreading of 370 are going to be discussed regarding these two Partsufim. The 370 of Abba are hidden, but the 370 of Bina are revealed in the upper face on the side of Bina. And Echaya, that is simple, complete, and fully spelt out, has 41 letters, Aleph Mem, which has a numerical value of 41. Aleph is 1 and Mem is 40. Each of the 9 Sfirot that are in the upper face and revealed on the side of Bina have a name of Echaya in them, in the secret of 41 letters. They have the numerical value of 370 lights. We see on the footnote 155, 41 times 9 is 369, and 1 for the totality in example Imkolel makes 370. The 41 letters are listed here as follows. They are the name Echaya, Et Milui, expansion, Aleph, He, Yod, He, and the Milui of the Milui. Together, they have 41 letters. Thus we see in Abba, Aleph Mem. This is the value 41, and refers to the name Echaya, its Milui, and the Milui of the Milui. And it spreads through all the Sefirot sub-Kether. An example, Chokmah, Bina, Da'as, Chesed, Gevura, Tifres, Netzach, Hod, Yisad. Thus, 41 times 9 equals 369, plus its totality is 370. Thus we can see here 370 lights spread from the aspect of Abba and become revealed in the aspect of Ima. Let us return to the discussion and enter deeper levels. Now I will add, and it has been discussed in Likutei Yira, that the expansions and expansion of expansions refer to emanations, and the secret of divine names having milui, or expansions, is that something is being emanated. Inside of Likutei Yira, we will find this mentioning on page 734. And here is a listing of the name, its milui, and the milui of the milui for 41 letters. We will see here explanations as well to the 370 lines. Now it continues to state, there are 370 in another method. It is by multiplying the spelling of 63 that has the numerical value of 37 by 10. 10 times 37 is 370. These are 370 in another method. For context, we find here, regarding the sphere of Binah, which corresponds to the Partsufim called Ima, the name of 63. Samek Gimel has a numerical value of 63. This refers to the expansion of the divine name of Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that has a gematria of 63. The name of 63 is Yod-Hi Vav-Hi, which has a numerical value of 63. Yod is 10, Vav is 6, Dalet is 4. Hey is 5, Yod is 10, Vav is 6, Aleph is 1. Vav is 6, Hey is 5, and Yod is 10. The expansion in particular, that has 37, refers to when you take the divine name or the milui in 63 and subtract the head letters, in example Yod, He, Vav, and He. Thus you are left with Vav, Dalet, Yud, Aleph, Vav, Yud, as shown here. Vav, Dalet, Yud, Aleph, Vav, Yud. This has a numerical value of 37. In example 6 plus 4 plus 10 plus 1 plus 6 plus 10. We find that that name corresponds to the Partsuf Ima, as shown here. Thus, inside of each one of these 10 Sfiroth, Kether, Chokmah, Bina, Da'as, Chesed, Gevurah, Tifreth, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, are the expansion Vav, Dalet, Yud, Aleph, Vav, Yud, which has a value of 37. It was explained that Miluim, or expansions, refer to emanations, and therefore we find there's a spreading of 370 here as well, in that 37 times 10 equals 370. And so far we have seen the spreading of 370 in the aspect of Chokmah, in the secret of the Partsufim of Abba, and the expansion through Ima. It continues on the discussion of 370. Know that there is an aspect of 370 in a cortex. These 370 are opposite of the 370 of the holiness of Arich Anpin. They are called 370 in the secret of a moth will eat them like a garment. Yeshayahu chapter 50 verse 9. As the word moth here in the verse, subnote 165, is spelled Ayin Shin, or 70 plus 300, which is numerically 370. It eats and destroys the upper garments. Hinting to this, we find that there are two fully spelt out L's, Aleph Lamed, that are on the right and the left side of the face. L, fully spelt out, has the numerical value of 185. The two of them together have the numerical value of 370. This tikkun is mentioned in the first correction. He explains the matters in the general sense of the correction and goes on to say the 31 locks, hinting to the name El, Aleph, Lamed is 30 and Aleph is 1, are equally even, in example, across from each other, which are in the first correction are coarse so as to subordinate judgments below. They are the numerical value of El, Aleph, Lamed. What is the meaning of El? It is a mighty El, and we find here that it's hinting to mighty El. And the mighty El refers to the Sphira of Gevurah, capable of subduing everything in every lock of the aspect of its entirety. There's a division into 31 mighty dominating worlds to subdue. They then spread out, hinting to the Milui, or the expansion of El, as was mentioned there, on this side and 31 on that side. This spreading of 370 refers to a spreading within inside of Zer Anpin itself, an opposite of the 370 holiness, an example in the aspects of Abba and Ima. And opposite of this is in Zer Anpin, an example on the outside, as it was described earlier, in that Zer Anpin is in the outside of Arich Anpin. This refers to El Gabur, an example Gevurah, and across from it is Chesed, which is called Chesed El. Thus, the name El expands, as it was mentioning in the Idra. This refers to its Milui, and El, the name of God corresponding here, expanded is Aleph Lamed, Aleph Lamed Fe Lamed Mem Dalet, the value of which is 185. Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, Fe is 80, Lamed is 30, Mem is 40, and Dalet is 4. And across is the same. Now 185 plus 185 equals 370. It is written, I am without a son, I am naked. This hints that Zer Anpin is actually a garment, and this is the secret of that moth. An example, Ayin Shin, or 370, will consume them like a garment, and this is the lower 370 in Zer Anpin. The last thing we will touch on regarding this matter, it states here, however, regarding the 3,700,000, there are only 1,500,000 lights in Zer Anpin. Now Tifereth corresponds to 100. Each one of the 5 gates from Chesed to Hod are composed of 10, and this makes 50. Together they are 1,500,000. When 150 are subtracted from the 370 mentioned above, 221 remain. This is the aspect that remains in Arich Anpin, which is called long face, Arich Anpin, and it spreads its face to 2,210,000 and Zer Anpin to the 1,500,000 as mentioned in Idra 135. Understand that all of them are 3,700,000. This is mentioned in section 25, the skull of Zer Anpin. This skull of Zer Anpin illuminates on both sides, to this direction and to that direction. That is, refined air and refined fire. From this refined air spreads his skull to his face, 150 10,000s or 1,500,000 realms. Therefore it is called Zer Anpin, which means a small face. When the need arises, meaning when the lower grades are worthy, its face expands and becomes long during that period, similar to Arich Anpin, which means long face, that is 370 10,000s or 3,700,000 illuminations. This is because he sees the face of the most ancient of the ancient and has compassion on the world. What is this hinting to? Now, first to address the 1,500,000 in Zer Anpin. So here's the height of Zer Anpin, and we find that it composites 10 sphirot, and spreading in its midst from Da'as, it is known there are 5 Chesadim and 5 Gevurot, and they spread between Chesed, Gevura, Tifres, Netzach, and Hod, which was explained by Chaim Vital, that the spreading is from Chesed to Hod, or in example 5. This refers to the 500, and the 10 in its totality refers to the 1 million. Thus, we find that there are 1,500,000 in example with inside of Zer. Now, when his face looks up into the aspect of Arich Anpin, which this pathway represents here, and as you can see, the word Erech is written, we find that the word Erech has a numerical value of 221. Aleph is 1, Resh is 200, and Kaf is 20, meaning long. Thus 221 plus 150 equals 370. And with this, we can see the key of why it said in the Zohar that the spreading of Zer Anpin was 1,500,000, and when it looked up, it was 370. We also may understand why it was called long, or Erech, hinting to the connection of the word Erech with the 150. Now this concludes our first discussion on the aspects of 3,700,000 lights and the aspects of the relationship between Arich Anpin and Zer Anpin. If you guys would like to see more and go into a deeper dive in this type of content, let me know down below and perhaps I'll make a future video. That being said, Shalom Selah.